There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth, the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about you? For the master, master teacher. Freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, so come from earth we may be, but we are life-born spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. 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 Freedom for the master.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down to make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult. There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master. Master teacher. Freedom for the master. Master teacher. Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about for you? The master, master teacher. Freedom for the master. 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 Freedom. Master teacher. Freedom for the master. Freedom for the master. Freedom. Master teacher. Freedom for the master. Freedom. Master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn. We come from earth, we may be. But we are life-born spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. Master teacher, freedom for the master. Freedom, master teacher, freedom for the master. Freedom, master teacher, freedom for the master. Freedom, master teacher, freedom for the master. Bring a master teacher, bring a freedom for the master. Master teacher, freedom for the master. Bring a master teacher.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down, and make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult.
Rahubat, Moisa, Rahubat. This is Sakambre. Another one of the millions of student teachers of the Master Teacher Partner Abyanun. And this is Wu-Sabat on OSM, Our Souls Matter. So tune in. We're just waiting for more people to join. Share the links. Let everyone know we're live. All right? All you regulars, you already done know Miss Iris Moss. I need this because, yeah, this energizes me. It's very refreshing, full of minerals. And those who have tried it, they love it, as I do. All right, so make sure you come into the chat and get yours. Right, very refreshing. All right, let's see who we've got on. Rahubat, the moon phase 33. Reye Sananda, Rahubat. Rahubat, everyone on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and whatever other social media you're using, and especially on YouTube. All right. Levi Anglin Rahubat. Grace Jockey 8123 Rahul Bat. The regulars are here. Ashok. Draco Rahul Bat. Camera quality looks better than usual, yeah? All right, well, that's good. Towel tack, thank you. Remember, we've got the number on the screen if you want to call in live. All right, and look out for the links in the bio. You know, look out for what we're posting in the comments. And yeah, make sure that you're locked in. Make sure you're locked into our Telegram group, because we always continue. It doesn't stop. We do it 24/7, 365, where you can keep asking your questions and getting your answers. All right, so yeah, welcome to everyone joining. Yeah, another question. Okay, we're gonna get to the questions. We're gonna get to the questions. We're just waiting to get more people on. Yeah, remember you can call in live and ask your question. G71273 Rahubat. Yeah, Moisa is with a M-U-Y, yeah? Sweet Rita Astrology Mix, Rahubat. Hey, Roderick, Rahubat. Oh, it's you, Roderick. We spoke yesterday. Yeah, I'm glad we helped you to get your language course sorted out. Rahubat, Bruce Canois. Sunny Fro, Rahubat, Ashok. So you all know, because we're seeing you book your tickets online. Yeah, we got the event, our Friendship Day event coming up, 14th of February, where you can mingle with us, meet and greet us. I'm going to be there, dressed to impress. Come with your lady friend or your male friend. Yeah, come and let's enjoy ourselves and get to know each other. So there's going to be lots of activities going on. Entertainment, live music, live band, 3-course meal. We're going to have the scrolls, all the master teacher scrolls, the most dynamic books on the planet. They're going to be on sale and be available. So come and get your scrolls, eat some food, speak to all the many student teachers, partake in the prizes, win some prizes, listen to some good music, and have a good time. As you know, that day, the 14th of February, we've already done a video on Valentine's Day and its origins as a pagan, one of the many pagan holidays, and showing you where it came from. If you haven't watched that video already, then go and watch that, because we then replace that energy, counteract that negative energy with our Friendship Day. And so, like every other day they celebrate that has its origins in the pagan rituals that put out a certain type of energy, we have to make sure that we're coming with that 9 ether energy, not the 6 ether energy, you see. So yeah, it's going to be a great meet and greet. Last Storyteller, Rahubat, greetings. Rita, Rahubat. Daps92, Rahubat. Mars, Jams2, Rahubat. Okay. So, like I said, if you don't want to or can't call out and you don't want to call live, you can put your questions in the chat, and on any other social media platforms, and we'll get to your questions as soon as possible. All right. Okay. Let's get into the questions. It's 9 minutes past UK time. Sonny Fro, I shook student teachers. Serious question. So the birth of man meets woman, or man seed is put into woman goddess, sister of Enlil. So where did the child come, the seed or the woman? It depends. Like when we talk about the birth, yeah, it depends on how far back you're going. You see, most people have been given a fictitious story of creation, meaning that when you're young or when you're growing up and you have these questions within you, like, why am I here? Where did I come from? And how did I get here? You start to look for answers. I don't mean like you personally, like people will say, how did we all get here? How did life begin? How did humanity get here? Yeah. So people will say, let me get the answers. They will ask people, and you're gonna get the religious account, which is gonna tell you, and more than likely it's gonna be the monotheistic religions, yeah? So that's Abrahamic religions. You're gonna go, depending on what your family are practicing when you're a child, you're more than likely gonna be influenced by that religion. And it's gonna be Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or you might come from a different race where you're gonna maybe practice like Hinduism or something else. But the main three are gonna be Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And they tell you that life started with this being that created everything in 6 days and then rested on the seventh day. They call him God, they call him Allah, they call him Yahweh, they call him different names. But then when you start to think about that deeply, it doesn't make sense. Because relating to your question, Sonny Fro, who came first, the man or the woman? In their account, the biblical account, they're going to tell you, or the religious account, they're going to tell you that this man is a he, took the dust off the ground, and then he formed a man, okay? And then he took a rib from the man to form the woman. We have a live caller. No? Okay. All right, so they'll tell you that that's how woman came. And these two people, they tell you, were called Adam and Eve. And then they had children, first two being Cain and Abel. So now, what they're saying to you is that on the planet at that time, there were only 4 people, Adam and Eve, and their 2 children, Cain and Abel. And as the story goes on, they tell you that Cain killed Abel. And then he was banished because of what he did, spilling the blood of his brother, etc., etc. And he was banned. And then he went somewhere, and he was afraid that wherever he was being banished to, they were going to kill him for what he had done. So then, apparently, God put a mark on him, and to say to people that leave him alone, like, so now that's the biblical account, but there's so many holes in that because scientifically, yeah, women produce men and women, and men have a navel, which we refer to as a belly button. So everyone on the planet has one. The significance of that is that with that belly button, it means that you had an umbilical cord, which is the cord that connects you to your mother when you're in the womb. This is how you're receiving your nutrients and so on, right? Until when you come out, they cut it. So that will tell you that that story is not even making sense, because the questions you're going to have is like, okay, where did this man come from to create the first man? because men come from women, scientifically. People who don't want to deal with the facts are going to just start making up stuff. Well, he's God, isn't he? He can do what he wants and he can create himself. But he was already there. So that's not the beginning. And the thing is, if he was there and he's a man, how old was he when he did this? Taking the dust off the ground to form the man. How old was he? And does he age? And why does he deal with time? Meaning he created things in 6 days. But he's supposed to be able to do anything he wants by clicking his fingers. So why did it take 6 days? Why didn't it take 1 second? Why didn't it take 1 day? And why does he need to have a rest? Because he rested on the 7th day. After he did all this work, they say, let there be light and let there be this and let there be that. Like magic tricks. Then he has to rest. To rest means you get tired. To rest means you have a need. The almighty, all-powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent, omni as they say, has no needs. And as we go on with this story, it gets even more ridiculous because, as I said, that Cain goes to the land of Nod, there were people there. Then he takes a wife. Where did his wife come from? Where did these people come from? These are basic questions that anybody who's thinking and going to Sunday school and being fed this story going to get to a point where they start to ask questions. And there are questions that they have no answers for, but they will turn it on you and say, you shouldn't question, you can't question God. That's another thing that never made sense, because how am I able to think of the question if he controls everything and knows everyone's thoughts and knows what you're going to do and knows what's going to happen? Clearly he doesn't know, because if I can think the question, that means he allows me to do so. So why am I being, put down for asking questions and saying you're blasphemy and then the name calling comes in because you just want to know, because you want to ask questions. All right? We can go on and on and on and on with this story. We can go all the way from the cover of what they're calling the Bible and the Word, all the way to the book of Revelations, which they're saying is the last book and last testimony and the end of, world stories. And there are just so many contradictions and so many things that do not make sense. An intelligent being makes things make sense. Okay, so that's the religious account of how we all started. Then you go over to the scientific world, and they tell you, oh no, it was a big bang that just happened, and that's how life began. And then, through evolution and so on and so forth. Then they give you theories like Darwin's theory of evolution, and they talk about how men evolved. But then both of these have holes in them. When you say a theory is not something that's proven, right? Then you start going, okay, what caused the bang in the first place? And then you start to look at genetics and you start to study anthropology, and you start to look at, where people first popped up in the world, the fossils that are found, and take the DNA, and you start to see that a lot of things have holes in it, they don't add up. Yeah, so to go back to your question, you say, so the birth of man meets woman, or man seed is put into woman, goddess, sister of Enlil. See, when you say Enlil, that straight away ties into a particular creation story or the Anunnaki stories, because Enlil is the son of Anu, right? Who's referred to as the Most High, and his brother is what? Enki. So straight away, that's a different creation story from, say, different races and cultures around the world. So what we're saying to you is the Big Bang is talking about the beginning of, say, our one universe. Now we know that there are multiverses and omniverse. When you look at the cosmos, there's so many different star systems and constellations where things began, and that's not from here. And then things came here, right? This is why they would tell you like God is somewhere else. He's somewhere they call heaven. The angels are somewhere where they call heaven. Jesus is supposed to be somewhere in heaven. Muhammad is supposed to have received a visitation from a being that was sent from heaven, known as who? Gabriel or Jibril, right? So all of these stories are telling you that life didn't actually start on this planet. And then when you research into the science, you deal with like panspermia, yeah, which is dealing with like bacteria coming from outside the planet to germinate this planet. So to answer your question and make it clear, because Wu-Sabat is the one that gives you the answers and the facts that clears up the confusion of the religious account as well as the scientific account. So we know that our ancestors, the Natharu, who became known as the Natiru in ancient Egypt, which is where the word nature is grafted from, they don't come from here, they come from different star systems. Orion star constellation, you know, the one with the belt that lines up with the pyramids of Giza, and you can look up in the star and see it, as well as the Sirius star constellation. They came here, they're the ones that planned and germinated the waters with their DNA. And then the first or the original beings on the planet, that what people will term the Africans. But we know when you start to do your research, you know, there's so much information that people are not aware of, like the place you're calling Africa had many, 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 many names. The one that most people are familiar with today as Africa is from the word Farka or Ifriqiya, which is an Arabic word, which literally means to divide. And this was between the Europeans and the Arabs, because you got the Berlin Conference also where they divided and chopped it up. And that's why it's termed Faraka, to divide, because they divided up the continent. Yeah, go and study and research the Berlin Conference and study the so-called slave trades of the 1400s and the 1600s. So the land was called, like some people say Al-Kibu land, but we know it was called Ganawa. That's the original name, oldest name of Africa, Ganawa. It's known by many names. The place called Egypt was known by many names. The word Egypt was only a recent rendition by the Egyptians, sorry, the Greeks, who used the word Egyptian from the word Aegyptos, which means burnt faces, because you had the Hyksos dynasty when they were coming into Egypt, and they were burnt by the sun because they lacked melanin. Put a pin there. Let's take a live call. Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please? The word Egypt was only a recent.
Hello.
Rahubat caller, you there? What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
I wanted to ask a question, but I cannot hear you nicely.
Your line is choppy. We can't hear you.
I'll just go ahead and ask my question because the network is a bit shaky on your side.
Your line is terrible, bro. Yeah. You have to leave a voicemail or call back because your line is really bad. We can't hear you. All right, so we can expound and go into that question a bit more, Sonny Fro. This is why we're here, to clear up the confusion, because that's what causes the chaos. You know, like people, they're trying to find the answers. They want to make everything crystal clear in their minds, but there's so much different misinformation that it's making it difficult. So when you say where did the child come, the seed or the woman? The woman's first. Man comes from woman and women come from woman, and depending on how far back you're going, we can talk about that stage in the development of the beings that are on the planet, which goes beyond the planet to other star system, other constellations, and other beings that exist outside of our time zone and outside of our star or solar system. All right, let's move on. Freedom for the master.
2 donations.
Oh, wow, already. That's fantastic. Can't see them. Oh, yeah, there you go. Saket Ra. Appreciate love your donation. And yes, listen, man, the master teacher's coming out this year. He has to. We all have to put that energy, right? That visualization, you know, that meditation, you know, that positive thinking, the chanting, everything has to go in the direction of free our master teacher, Malachi Z, your partner, Babianun. So thanks again for reminding us, Saket Ra, and thanks for your generous donation. Reye Sananda, also a big out to you, big shout out to you, and thank you also. Appreciate, love you for your donation. And yeah, it's all about the master teacher. That's why, you know, we always make sure he's in our presence, he's in the back. You see us, you see him, because without him, none of this will be possible. And he is that healing that's coming to humanity for those who want to know the truth anyway, for those who are real and want to find out the facts, okay? All right, thanks for you. I don't see you guys have any questions, so I'm just going to carry on. But once again, appreciate love. Oh, yeah, I see. So Kate Ray does have a question. Oh, no. Okay, I don't see. All right, we'll come back to the question I was answering. So, yeah, we can clarify the books, the scrolls go into every topic and whatever question you have to answer your question, right? We have a whole holy tablets, all right? Someone on the line? All right, hold on. We have a whole holy tablets that takes you way outside the biblical creation stories. All right, let's go for the voice note.
All right. I think my line is too choppy because I'm all the way in another continent. So I am in South Africa, and I think that might be contributing to it. But I just wanted to find out, you know, we have, or at least I have heard about great books. And these books include books written by your Immanuel Kant, the Odyssey, the Iliad, you know, great philosophers like your Plato, Socrates, and the likes. Right? I just wanted to find out, like, what material or what books can I at least read? Because everything that I've been hearing from the content so far makes sense. It's been questions that I've been asking on religion, because I've always said, you know, religion is more like a boat. And, you know, if ever your goal is to cross over to spirituality, religion is just like a boat. But there's no reason for you to now carry the boat everywhere you go. Just cross the river and move on, you know. But my question is more like, what material would you recommend for one to read, right? And in order to just get an understanding of the systems that are in place, what's happening, how is it happening, how does it make sense, how is it referenced, all of that. So that's basically my question, right? I know there's a whole lot of content out there, and I guess the challenge of today is filtering.
That's someone else. I'll let you answer that question first.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, that's a very easy one, because you're right. There's so much information out there, so many books and so many people claiming to know the way. The reality is they can only take you so far, right? And you have to put people to the test. Even though the people you were mentioning, you know, those were mainly your Greeks, philosophers, like you said, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander. They say the great. We add the word thief because he stole a lot of things from Egypt. So most of those people, they all studied in ancient Egypt. And as I was saying before to the previous question, the word Egypt has had many, or the place, Egypt, has had many, many names too. You know, it's been known by, people say Kemet, some say, we know as Tamaray. There are so many names for that place, just like there are so many names for the continent of Africa, which, as I was saying, the most authentic name is Ganawa. This is where the word Ghana also, you can hear it phonetically, comes from. Because depending on how far back you're going, the landmass was one. People talk about Pangaea or Pangea, right? So, the planet's been here for millions and millions of years. And so have beings that have evolved. So people get stuck in a book, like you were saying, that's telling you everything came about 6,000 years ago. Because you're counting backwards, right? If you're using the time that, the Gregorian calendar, we're in 2026 now. So that's the AD, right? From 1 AD coming forward, that's 2026 years. And then before 1 AD, you go back to BC or BCE. And that, the people that give you religion go back 4,000 years, or at least 4,400 years BCE. You add the two together, you're literally getting like 6,030 years. But actual facts, evidence, like you say, when you put the book aside and you go out into nature and go out into the world, go out into places and see the fossils and, like, it dates to millions and millions of years. Is that somebody cool?
It's just connecting.
Okay.
All right, so.
All right, let me take that. We'll come back to this. Greetings, caller. Rahubat, as we say. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
My name is Kerry from Jamaica.
I recognize the voice. Regular caller. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Great. You could do, that's the best one can do. But what's your question today?
Okay, so when we die, we reincarnate. So let's say I reincarnated. Whenever a person reincarnates every time, do they reincarnate with the same energy and personality?
Is that a question? Okay.
Yes, I want to know if we reincarnate with the same personality and energy every time.
Okay. We have to correct things, because when you say when we die, we reincarnate, the we means you're speaking for everybody. And it's different for everyone. Meaning that not everyone who dies will reincarnate. The people that reincarnate are the people that can't make it and go on to the next levels of existence. And you come back here to perfect yourself or to learn things you didn't master whilst you were here. All right. So it's not everybody. It's those who are not ready to move up or move on. And people get stuck here because of the things that they desire that are holding them or pulling them back here, or the fact that they didn't take the time to study and develop their spiritual and their other parts of higher vibrations within them. So not everybody comes back. And when you do come back, you come back through your bloodline. Yeah. And when you say personalities, the personalities, right, deal with your ancestors, right? So you have, you are composed of your ancestors going back 4 generations. Yeah. So that's what you're saying when you're saying personality. And you have different parts of you, and the simplest way of putting it for people to understand is like we always talk about the physical body, the spirit, and the soul. And that's a simple way of looking at it, but there are finer degrees of each one. So we know that your soul is, let's start from your body. Like if you use a simple analogy, an egg, right? An egg has a shell, it has a white, and then it has what we call the yolk, which is the yellow. If you look at it like that simply, which is also synonymous with saying being physical, being liquid, and being gas. Your physical body, the physical part of you, that will return to the elements of where it came from, which people call it the ground or dust, and that's it. But your spirit and your soul are supposed to be developed enough for the spirit to propel the soul to the higher levels of existence or different realms. If you're not strong enough, or if you don't have a soul, then you can only elevate to the spiritual realm. Yeah, so you come back and you come back through the same bloodline or personalities of your ancestors, who could be anywhere on the planet. If you go back to how, you're talking about beings that have been evolving for thousands of years. Even yourself, you may have been here on average 9,000 times. Most people on the planet, as we're taught by the master teacher Pa and the Babyanun, have been reincarnated for 9,000 times. And originally you didn't have to do that. You were able to come, master whatever you were here to learn, and leave and don't come back. But now you're caught in this reincarnation cycle, and you now have up to 24,000 times to perfect yourself, to strengthen that being, to propel you to the higher realms. And if you don't, by the 24,000th time, you cease to have that ability to be able to, keep working at it. It's like you're given so many chances from a loving, the beings that govern these realms. They give you that as an opportunity to perfect yourself. But if you keep wasting your time and not doing the things to develop your inner beings, then if you just love the material world and that's all you're about, then you're going to end up losing all your chances. And some people are bound here because they don't have that ability to progress to the higher realms. So does that answer your question? Go ahead.
Let us say that a lot of life experiences has caused me to feel drained of my energy. It's like I don't feel any more motivation. I don't feel inspired, or I don't even feel energetic anymore. When I reincarnate, will a new energy be given to me to start over, like how children are born and they're naturally energetic?
Yeah, if you were born again, you would be a childlike as well. This is what we're saying, that's your chance to start again. As in, like if you're not motivated and have no energy, that's because you're not feeding those parts of you. That's what I was saying about if you're just somebody that deals with low vibrations and the physical only and just deal with material things and all the lower vibrations, then you're keeping yourself on low vibrations. But when you're somebody who is,
No, I meant it in a way that, like, naturally, I normally had a high vibration, but because I've been isolated for so long, I felt like it left me with a low vibration.
You're saying the same thing. That's what I'm saying. Like people get a low vibration when they're not feeding their bodies or the part of their being that pulls you up, because you have to pull yourself up. This is what we're saying. Like if you're stimulating your mind, for example, this is why we have so many books, and you're learning what it's doing is it's gonna reactivate certain parts of your being, recalibrate your mind, because you're using less than 10% of your brain capacity at the moment. So when you start to do things and activate, the movie like Lucy, this was showing you this, and another one called Limitless. These movies show you like once you are activated, this is why we're saying the doctrine or the Wu-Sabat information or is coming from outside in. We say out formation. When you read these scrolls, they start to energize you, stimulate you to the point where you start to like reach for your inner being, for your higher mental self. And you have that vibration goes up, or you're raising your vibration. So you get charged. This is what I'm saying. Some people have a soul, but because of the lies and because of the world they live in, because it's been designed to keep you low and drain your energy and your life force, a lot of people do walk around and suffer from depression. Look, think of the word depression. You're being depressed. So you're being pushed to feel and be on low vibration, to the point where some people forget that they have that soul until they come across Wu-Sabat, or, you know, they get inspiration from when they hear the truth, you know, because the truth is something that is supposed to help you to elevate higher. So yes, you're right that you're getting depleted because you're not feeding. Make it simple. A lot of us would feed the physical body. Like everything you do for the body. You know, you wake up, you bathe and you wash the body, you wash your teeth, you look at yourself in the mirror, you cream your body, you feed your body with food, you do all the things to stimulate and entertain your body. But then you have another body or several other bodies that you have to do the same for, but what they need is things like stop eating, right? The opposite of eating. So that would be your fasting, you know, not forever, but like that being, it needs to be energized, or eat electric foods, or eat things that are more alkaline, which deal with nature, all right? Meditation, relaxation, contemplation, mindfulness. These are all the things you need to do for your inner being, because that feeds them to be healthier, to vibrate on a higher level. So what I'm saying is most people have reduced themselves to just attaining to the physical body. And this is what these scrolls, they help you to realize who you really are, not what you've accepted or what you have become. You've got to know who you really are and how to feed that being in you so that you can elevate and activate your higher being, your higher self. And that higher self is what's going to help you elevate to the higher realms if you put in the work. You follow?
Yes. I practice to read the scrolls whenever I see them in the Telegram group.
Great, good. And how do you find them and how do you feel when you read them?
I felt intrigued.
That's a start.
Yes, I read about the golden children, or what you call star seeds.
Right, exactly.
They incarnated here from 1973 to 1990 or something like that.
2003.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. 2003.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this is information that will, like you say, intrigues you. And then the next step is to read more, to know more, to find out more. And that's why Partner Babianun is here.
So is this reincarnation cycle that we're currently in, is this the last cycle?
For who? For some people, yes. It's not, remember, everybody's at different stages in their development. But this cycle right now is the cycle that's going to help those beings that have been asleep and have been under the spell wake up and realize what's been going on. So that's why more people are becoming more conscious worldwide. People are becoming what they say woke. You know, people are starting to see through the matrix or the systems that have been holding them down and lying to them for 6,000 years. And now everything is being exposed and the truth is being shared by all people worldwide on all social media. Of course, there's still the distortion and those that are holding on to the old ways. But all the scriptures say when the truth comes, false things will perish. So if you're holding on to things that are going to perish or falseness or things that have expired, you're going to expire with them. You know, this is a new, they say new age, right? The new cycle, the Aquarian age or the Aquarian cycle, the sun cycle, the golden cycle. You know, these are the days and times we're living in where everything is changing. The planet itself is evolving and changing. You know, like, because anything that is alive has to evolve. That's why they say the one thing that's constant is change. If you're not changing, you're dead. You can't do the same thing over and over and over and over again for thousands of years and expect a different result. That is one definition of madness. Like, imagine you're driving, going somewhere, then you get to a roundabout, and all you do is keep going around and around and around and around and around. That's not logical. It's not making sense, because you're stuck now, because you're just going around and around and around and around. And what's going to happen? People are going to come, you know, they're going to beat, you know, get past you and go about their business, because they will go and take an exit. There you're going around and around. So what's going to happen? You're going to run out of fuel, yeah? And then you're just going to conk out, because you can't move no more. Your car's just going to come to a halt, because you're not progressing. You're not going anywhere. You're just going around and around in circles. So you can't go to church every Sunday, hear the same quotes, the same books, the same dead books that tell you the same stories year in, year out, and tell you someone's going to come and save you, and they don't give you a date and a time when this is going to happen. It's just have faith, right? That's like going around a roundabout. Eventually you're going to work it out. You're going to go, nah, this doesn't make sense. I've seen this, whatever, let's say there was a tree that you passed every time. I've seen this tree so many times. Like, I've got to change my direction, and you got to take an exit and move forward. But people are stuck. They're stuck in these 6,000-year-old books and religions that have been remixed and different versions and versions and versions. Whereas Wu-Sabat comes along and says to you, look, that's only 6,000 years old. We go to the primary creation, right? We predate all these books. We go back. In fact, we don't even have a date, because we got outside of the time zone. To people, that might sound crazy, but you know, the Earth's time is based on the motion of the planet going around the sun. You see, so we say we can take you outside of this realm to where your ancestors, the original beings that seeded this planet, where they come from, and how everybody then evolved and came out of that, and so on and so forth. So we take you outside of information, being inside, being insane. We take you to outformation, which is outside of the planet. You see, they teach you about outside of the planet by saying that God is in heaven and Jesus is in heaven, and you know, the angels are in heaven, and they come here and they go back. And they say the only way you're going to get there is when you die or when you're unalive. So there's no proof of that. You see, but we're dealing with extraterrestrial beings that are advanced, that have evolved to such a state that they can come and go. And we have one amongst us from a place outside of the Earth, a planet called Risk, which is in a galaxy called Ilion. See, this is probably the first time some people are hearing this type of information. And he's the one that has been sent here to bring about this new cycle and to crush all the lies and misinformation and straighten everything out for anyone who is willing and ready to make that extra evolution to their next level of existence. So you're preparing for when you leave here, so you don't have to come back. But I've been on the phone with you for a long time. We have other callers and other questions waiting. So is that it, or is there a final remark?
Okay, I just want to know, if I reincarnate, will I be able to choose who my parents will be, and will I look the same as I do now?
Not necessarily, but as I said, is most of us do choose our parents because we have to pass or elevate, and what we didn't achieve in our previous incarnation, we are able to now, like, okay, so I think I've given this example before. If your purpose here was to, do something for humanity, because that's one of the things you do, so you don't have to come back, and you wanted to be, I'm trying to think, let's say a musician, like somebody that's going to help people, you're going to leave positive messages. I mean, we could name many people that have done that, right? Let's say Bob Marley's an example, or James Brown, or whoever we can look at. It's gonna be more likely for you to choose somebody in your bloodline who knows music, or who will help you to master that aspect of your purpose. So yes, you can choose parents that are going to help you to achieve what you've come here to do this time. And then let's say you did come as a musician and you became famous and you uplifted humanity by the positive messages and songs that you sing, and then you leave and you leave a legacy. Right? So that would make sense. It wouldn't make sense for you to choose parents that are going to be completely opposite to what you're coming to do as a purpose. Do you follow?
Yes.
But really, your focus shouldn't be on coming back. Your focus should be on, what do I need to do now so I don't have to come back, so that I've fulfilled my time here and I can move on to experience another level of existence. Because this life is not the only one. Like, you can go on to different, like, wouldn't you like to, for example, experience life on another, say, planet or galaxy or universe, and do something there? There are many things you could do, but I'm just saying, like, we shouldn't be focusing on coming back. Coming back is like failure, like, or you didn't make it, so you have to come and repeat. It's like if you were in school and, certain schools, if you don't pass, you repeat the year. And, those who have passed, then move on to the next year and the next year and the next year. Like, would you want to repeat the same school, the same class, or the same school over and over and over again? So, like in certain African countries, you got people that are doing like let's say, I'll just say grade 1, and they're really adults and they're not supposed to be in grade 1, but they've been repeating so much that they're not moving on, so the purpose is to try not to be coming back here again, but you need to be taught how to do that so you don't have to come back. All right, let me move on to other questions. Thank you for calling.
Later.
I'll speak to you again soon. Or I do.
And then
Okay, let's go for the voicemail. Voicemail.
there's so many.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'm seeing
Thank
them
you
coming
today.
in.
Let me just ask you one question, bro. Like you said last time I was listening to your podcast, you said God lied to, he was the first person or first being to lie to human beings and stuff in the Bible when you're inditing about the story of Adam and Eve.
That's a different caller. Sorry, let me
I think that's the brother that called her last time, isn't it?
No, this is someone else.
Okay, is that the end of it?
It's someone else. But yeah.
Okay,
No,
let me just ask you one question, bro. Like
Okay, let's finish
you
this.
said last time I was listening to your podcast, you said God lied to, he was the first person or first being to lie to human beings and stuff in the Bible when you're inditing about the story of Adam and Eve. You saying God lied to Adam that if he eats the fruit he's gonna die. So I'm not really getting that because they really died. Was it in a long run or a short run? Because it wasn't mentioned, bro. You get it? That is my question.
Okay, let me
You just have
clarify it.
to
Right. Okay, I
expagorate
get the
more.
question. So, yes, the thing is, the reason you don't know is because you're not reading the language. The word that's being used for die this day. It says this day. It's not, oh, you're going to die later or you're going to die sometime in the future. And this is why we say that it's important to study the language. Also, religion is based on belief. That's why the most used word in religion is you got to believe or having faith. Faith, believe or belief. You look at that word, it's L-I-E, believe, to lie to someone. So religion is not based on facts or based on evidence, it's based on belief. So you can believe what you like. And we say there's nothing wrong with a belief system. But a belief system is not as good for you as a knowing system. To have knowledge is to know. So when you study that, like I said, it will tell you, it said you will die this day. Not that you're going to die eventually, because everyone's going to die eventually. So it wouldn't have been a problem, because if they ate the fruit and they're going to die eventually, that doesn't, it's like, okay, I'll just eat the fruit then, because we all going to die eventually. But that wasn't the point. It was like, you won't be able to carry on living because you violated a commandment, or I've commanded you not to eat of the fruit. So that's what I'm saying. When people try to justify what's being said, the reality is, the truth is the truth. The being that came and asked the question, if you go back and read it properly, it said, did God tell you that if you eat this fruit, you will die? And the word there is saying die this day, immediately, right? Think about it, it wouldn't make sense if it was you're going to die eventually, because we're all going to die eventually. So I would have no fear then to not eat the fruit, because it's not going to make a difference, because I'm going to die eventually. So why would I now be afraid to eat the fruit? The serpent said, did he tell you that? And they said, yes. And then what did he say? The so-called serpent, shall I say, because we know that the word is not even serpent. That's a mistranslation. This is what I'm saying about lies. If we can start from the cover, people have been Christians for 20 years, 15 years. You ask them, what does the word Bible means? They're like, I've done it many times. I don't know. Or they'll say, they'll just make up something. I'm like, no, what's the root of the word? It's from the word Babylon, or Babel, or Bible, or Babel, which means confusion. You see, so that when you read the books, you get confused. You ask them, what does the word Genesis mean? They'll just say, oh, the beginning. No, it doesn't mean that. The word is taken from the Hebrew, Barashith, which is bara. Bara means to recreate, to like refill. These days you can just get, smartphones, Google, AI, ask them the questions. They will tell you what it means. Barashith, not Genesis. And it can't be the beginning, because God is there and somebody else is talking about what God did. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Then he did this, then he did that. So yes, the point is that the serpent told them, if you eat it, you're not going to die. They ate it, they didn't die. That was a lie. All right, so it's as simple as that. Let's move on. Did you say you had another one?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Let me just
All right, let's go for that next one.
There's that one.
In the meantime, let me answer the...
Yeah.
Okay, it's ready.
My question is, do you guys pray?
Do we pray? Okay. What we... In fact, let me clarify this, because I had a call today as well with someone that was saying... They said, I want to be a Nuwapian. And as the conversation went on, they were trying to tell me about Islam. And I was like, come and find out more. Like, learn about who we are, like our culture. And so to answer that question, I know why people ask the question, because they're coming from a religious background of praying. And we've explained and have a video explaining the tones, pray, P-R-A-Y, and how that also is distorted because you get the word P-R-E-Y. Because when you start to look at these beings, they're making you pray, meaning that you are feeding them, they're utilizing you, and some of them will eat you because they look at you as food. So when you're praying, we do have in our culture, we have ways of communicating. Because remember, when you're praying, who are you praying to? And most people think they're praying to God, to Jesus, to any of these names that you've been given, right? But you don't actually know who they are. It's just a name that you're calling on. A name has a tone, has a vibration. So it could be any being, but you don't know because you're then given an image or a picture, right? In the case of, if you're a Christian, you've already been given an image and a stamp in your head of Michelangelo painting who they look upon as God, who is a Caucasian man with a white beard and white hair. So if that's who you're praying to, or if you're praying to someone, which is meant to be a form of communication, they should be able to respond and should be able to hear you and you hear them. People will hear their own voices in their head or their ancestors' voices in their head and say, that's the voice of the being they're praying to, which is not facts. So in a belief system, you can pray, call on names, but you don't know who you're calling on. You don't know what the tones you're using, what vibration they have. In our journey and walking back in our culture, yes, we had prayer systems in the sense of we knew who we were talking to, who we were speaking with, which is our ancestors. So we've got scrolls that are called taful or ashutat. For those who were walking with the master, they know about these scrolls I'm talking about. And even then, we knew that we were giving reverence to our ancestors who are real. So we are, if you want to use a religion, because everyone says, what religion are you? We're not a religion. But the closest thing, if you need to have a word for it, is being an animist, right? An animist is someone who recognizes their ancestors and nature, that we come from nature, we evolve from nature, and we return back to nature, right? Nature operates at different vibrations and different levels. As we've said many times, the physical, right? You've got the plane of force, the spiritual, we go up and up in terms of the soul level, the mental level, the etheric levels. These are higher levels of vibration. So we connect to those and it comes down and manifests as nature, or we say natural ether energy. So we've got physical ethers and we've got natural ether energy. So yes, we don't pray to like an unknown God or just call on a name or a tone that we don't know who we're calling on, because most of these gods that you think you're praying to are extraterrestrials, right? Some of them are disagreeable, meaning they're not good, and some of them are agreeable or positive. This is where you get all these words: Yahweh, Yah, agreeable, way, disagreeable, seraphim, cherubim. But these are just characteristics, and you got to then know who are we talking about. We end up with beings like Enlil, Enki, who are the sons of Anu, because the biblical stories and accounts are taken from the Sumerian stories, right? From the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics. There's so many tablets where they have drawn these stories from that becomes your Bible and your Quran and the religious monotheistic religions today. So yes, we do have communication by way of how we engage and speak with our ancestors. We know who they are and we have communication with them, so they will hear us. and you'll use it. We have our own tones, our own language that we speak that they understand. You can't be speaking to someone in a foreign language that they don't know. You see, so when you want to know more about Wu-Sabat, wu-nuwapu, as Nuwapians, Sabians, you got to learn and read the books and actually learn before you just don't jump into anything without scrutinizing and learning and asking questions and studying, and that's what we say, and you will get to fully understand our culture. Our culture encompasses everything you need, from your language, your dress, your dance, your foods, everything. Like if you look at another culture, like if you look at the Sikhs, or you look at the Chinese, or you look at like the Hindus, or anyone that has a culture, they have their language, they have their cultural events and the things they do, and the things they wear, who they call on. We have ours, which were the originals that everybody borrowed from, and eventually, had the weaker versions of them. So we go back to the most authentic and most potent in every way, shape, or form you want to look at. Whether you're talking about physical creation, spiritual creation, extraterrestrial creation, whatever way you want to look at it, we are the originators. All right? Okay, next one.
Just to let you know, there's so many chats that is crashing the chat.
Oh, it's crashing the chat.
That's
oh
because
man,
there's so many.
All right, let me run through these ones. They're not that many, and then I'm gonna go on there.
Do you want to make one more voice note before that?
Yeah, go on then.
In our African culture, especially here in South Africa, we have what is known as a shaman or a sangoma. And one particular figure was known as Credo Mutwa. And Credo Mutwa worked closely with your David Ikes. And one of the things that he would mainly emphasize was the role of aliens or these extraterrestrial beings, whether it be your Anunnakis or reptilians, right? But how he would term them was, in our language, it was known as the Chitauri, right? And how they were using us to get certain minerals out of the earth and all of these things. So I have followed these things, and I have kind of like listened to what they had to say, Now, I grew up a Seventh-day Adventist, right? And for me, it was not satisfactory because it just felt like, okay, it's just more a belief, It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it real. It doesn't make it factual. We just believe, right? And it just sort of like felt like a cult. I was heavily invested in it once upon a time, but as I grew and as I began to question and I began to, it's like, okay, but you can't answer what I'm asking you, but instead you want to use like emotional blackmail on me, right? And that's how it ended up feeling like. But I love the way you guys put. Yes, I haven't like watched a lot of your videos. I've watched a couple of videos from you guys right now watching this live, and in my head I'm just thinking like, there is so much to learn, right? But like, how is what you are teaching? How does that link to an African individual, for example? I understand you guys are in another continent, but how does that link to an African individual? Because my chat has always been, as Africans, we need to go back to the not even the beliefs, but the practices that our ancestors had. We need to go back to that because there is some truth to that. You understand? Instead of just following this European type of system, So I just need to understand, like, how does the master teacher appreciate and how does he reconcile the African to his roots, right? Because we have been so alienated and we've been, like, our African practices have been so demonized to the point where it's even hard for someone like myself who can accept that, the system, these institutions are cultish, they are fulfilling a certain agenda that is not conducive to my well-being. But it's so difficult for me to go back to my roots. How does one navigate that?
Yeah, that was a lot, but I got the question, and I've actually, whilst I was listening, trying to find somewhere in the Holy Tablets where the Master explains, and Wu-Sabat is African spirituality in its finest. And so when you're saying we need to return back to our African spirituality, that's what this is. However, we have to explain also that the word Africa and African is something that was coined later on. So yes, what you're talking about, here we go. I think I found it. I want to see if I can. Yeah, what you're talking about with David Icke, and because remember he went to visit him in South Africa, and they're talking about the nomos, right? Or nomo. Nomo was the being that came, and nomos is the plural of nomo. And what you're saying is that they were mapping, and the information that they received, which is an extraterrestrial, and they came out of the waters, and they were basically telling them about the Sirius star constellation. This is the Dogon tribe, okay, and that where they came from, they showed them maps, and they drew, Sirius A, B, C, and this was a time when, right, here you go. This was a time where the Western world, their technology, they didn't have enough apparatus or enough knowledge to be able to map these star constellations. But eventually, when they did, it matched up exactly to those. I'm just trying to see where I can read it from, because it's such a lot of information. But yeah, if you've got the Holy Tablets, if you go to around page 346 or 345, all right, I'm going to read a bit for you, which covers the question. Right, I'm going to read from verse 154, which is on page 345. Yeah, it says, the Nubians or Dogons refer to them as Dogri, or plural Dogri, meaning ugly water beings. The Dogons speak and teach what they have been taught by the Dogri today. They have knowledge about the universe, star formations, and constellations without the aid of telescopes, right? The maps that these Dogons have are so accurate that they match modern maps of today. If you look up at the sky, the brightest star you can see is the Sirius, right? Venus, which is originally called Lahamu, and Jupiter, which originally is called Kisha, are often brighter than, and it shows you the picture of the father of Urugu and Nomos. I don't know if you can see that, but because these beings are reptilians that did come out of the water, okay? And like I said, there's so much information on it, but it gives you all the star maps, but it says they are not stars, they are planets going around our own sun, which is a star itself. And then if you keep reading and reading and reading it, it will explain to you that information that you're talking about. And I'm just going to jump a little bit. Right, I'll jump to 187. On April the 23rd, 1994 AD, the stars Sirius A and Sirius B crisscrossed in front of each other, which happens every 9,000 years. Energies were shot down to the planet Earth to rejuvenate the Dogon. Sirius B is composed of a special kind of material which is called Sagala, from a root meaning strong. And this material does not exist on the Earth. This material is heavier than all the iron on Earth. Sirius B is made up of super dense matter of a kind which exists nowhere on earth. All this forms the most sacred and most secret tradition known to the Dogon, the basis of their religion and of their lives. The Dogons also say that there is a third star in the Sirius system, which they call the Emiya star, which they compare to the Digitaria. They say that it is 4 times light in weight and travels along a greater trajectory in the same direction. They say that Emiya itself is the son of women, a little sun. The Dogon have knowledge that the planets revolve around the sun. Planets are called Tolo, if I'm pronouncing this properly, Tolo Tanazi, meaning stars that turn around something. The Dogons refer to our solar system as Ogos, placenta, whereas the system of the star Sirius and its comparison star satellite is referred to as Nomos placenta. Nomo is the collective name for the great culture and founder of civilization who came from the Sirius star system to set up society on the earth. The Dogon have recorded this information given by the Nomo long ago. Nomo is an individual and Nomos is the plural, as I said before. The Nomos were amphibious creatures known as the reptilians. The name Nomos means the masters of water, also called instructor of the monitors. The Nomos have to live in the water. The Nomos seat is in the water. The landing of Nomo on our earth is called the Day of the Fish, and the planet he came from in the Sirius star system, which is known as the pure earth of the Day of the Fish. The Nomos landed in an ark. The ark landed on the earth to the northeast of Dogon country, which is the direction of Egypt and the Middle East, where the Dogon claim to have come from originally before going to Mandi. The Dogon described the landing of the ark as the word of Nomo, which was cast down by him in the 4th directions and he descended. But as I said, there's just so much information on the subject, but he was right, and he was visited by these beings. Look, I'm going to show you another map. This is all information that the master teacher put out many years ago. Yeah, so this is the map showing you how they drew they're showing you the modern astronomical digitari of the orbit of Sirius, and then they show you the Dogon drawing of the same, and it's accurate. And this is another one, Dogon symbol of, yeah. This is why we say this holy tablet, the master put out in 1995-96, and it expired in the year 2000 because, like you were just saying in your question, there's so much more information that came after that, which we refer to as the hereafter doctrine. And that the hereafter doctrine is comprising what we refer to as the actual facts, the master secrets, and the Patarak. So when you say what books should you be reading, those are the books that you should be reading. And that also relates to somebody else's question about what books. The master teacher has put out over 1,000 books, and the Dogon and the whole, story of the No More, every story you can think about is in this scroll from the religious perspective, in the sense that all that they were trying to convey, this book covered it all, gave you all the details, and then he went on to giving us what he came to give. And this is Wu-Sabat. So if you want to progress from where you are, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, someone that deals with traditional as tribal culture, you're going to find the clear information in the scrolls by the master teacher, Parnabab Yanun, known to many as Dr. Malachi ZKU. All right, can I get to the chat now? There's so many questions. Okay, caller,
from the Bible still alive today? My second question is the God from the Bible still alive today? And who is the God from the Bible? I know that in Revelation it says that God was created by another God, but is that one still alive?
Can I not hear? Oh, they had it playing in the background, innit?
Who is the God of the Bible and are they alive today?
Okay, great question. The thing is, this is the distortion and the problem comes in when you've been told there's one God. You hear religious people say there's only one God, and you're like, the word God means plural when you go to the Hebrew. If you're talking about the Bible, right? When you read that, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The first word, the word is Elohim or Elohim, right? If you study the Hebrew, Elo, E-L-O-H, is the singular. When you add the I and the M to make it the him or Elohim, that's a yod and a meme, which makes it plural. So it starts off telling you there are more than one. So when people say who is the God of the Bible, there are many gods in the Bible. This is why sometimes different gods are contradicting what the other one says. Honestly, the gods of the Bible are Anu and his children. Namely, the main characters are the Enlil and the Enki. They refer to them as Baal and Yahweh. They use different words for different situations. And when you start to look at these words and break them down, you know, they mean different things, like the Almighty, the All-Powerful, the this, the that. It's just a description of what they're doing, you see? And a group of them will be referred to differently. So you start to get like Lord, you get Adonai, El Shaddai or El Shad, which is the demon, you know, Yahuwah, where they say Yahweh, but it's Yah and Hua, O, he who he is. So it would depend on what name you're using at that particular verse in that book of the Bible, and we can go into the word. These days you have, you know, you have online Strongs that will break the word down. You know, we use that when we teach. We show you, we go into like the Blue Letter Bible, or we use different tools. And when you do that, you can actually click each word and get the Strong's number. The Strong's is like every single word has been broken down and explain what it is. So do that and you will see for yourself. So yeah, there are many gods of the Bible and the Quran, because you're saying Allah, which the word Allah comes from the same word I just said, Elo, because the Hebrew comes before the Arabic, or they're two dialects of the same language. That's why you can literally hear when you say, you know, when you say words like in the Arabic, you can hear it in the Hebrew, right? So you have the Allah, you have Alat, female, and they had children, you know, and then they got Allahumma. So you have to study the Arabic and study the Hebrew and compare them together. But like we say, we study all of these things because we have to help break it down for people to see the actual facts and truth. Because the Islam and, you know, Islam and all that just goes back 1400 years. The New Testament, 2000 years. The Torah, which everyone says the Bible, but the Jews don't recognize all the books. They recognize the Torah, which is the 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. Yeah, so that's it. Like, but when you read those books, they have their origins from the Sumerian tablets. So yeah, the gods of the Bible are, you see it in our books. We give you the name of who's talking and what they're doing and who's their parents, etc., etc.
TikTok says, so do you believe in a creator?
This is the thing. Wu-Sabat doesn't believe. We know. It's better to know than to believe. You can believe what you like. And when you say the creator or a creator, You have to break down what does creation mean? What is creation and what is a creator, right? And that means to grow. Your creators or the beings that grew you predominantly is your mother, right? Your mother and your father are your creators. And I know we get this question so many times. The sperm comes from your father and it goes into the ovum of your mother. She grows you in her stomach, yeah? And then she gives birth to you. People are going to say, yeah, but who created them? Their mother and their father. And this can go on and on and on for millions of years, right? This is why we're saying there's a big difference from creation. That's why religious books, they start off with a creation. Because creation just means to take something that already exists and then create something. Take a tree, take the wood, and you create and make a table from the wood. That's creation. So every one of the monotheistic religions starts off with a creation. But the being that's doing the creation is taking things that already exist. Now, for us, we predate all of that. And there's pre-existence, before creation. So we go back beyond what you're calling people, places, and things. Because to create something, you're now delving into the physical world, dealing with the first element that was recognized as matter or material, which is H1, hydrogen, okay? Now, on the opposite side of that, we go into what we call subatomic or anti go the other way, antimatter. So you go to the elements, E1, this is etheric or ether. We go caller?
Yeah, but carry on.
Yeah, we go in the other direction. We go to the etheric side. That's what we're known as 9 ether beings. But we go, there's different levels of ether to the point where we're dealing with pre-existence. That's why we can always say to you, like, their gods come from ours, if you want to use that term, but it's dealing with natural nature, natural ether energy. Okay? So I hope that answers that question for the sister. But that's why you have to keep reading, probing, and keep getting clarity till it makes sense to you. All right, quick question. The question would be, what is the meaning of 411, please? Looking forward to your answer. Greetings, A33. That's from the moon phase 33. When you say what is 411, literally that's 6 ether, right? Because when you start to look at 411, what does that, what's that about? What does 411 normally represent? So you hear people say, give me the 411, right? They're trying to say, spill the beans or give me the juice, but that is really a representation of 6 ether, you see? Is that someone calling?
You've got a voice note and then a call after.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, it all depends on what context you're using numbers as well, because like, numbers are also, when you deal with etymology, numerology, there may be, it's energy as well. You know, there's certain numbers that like are over certain formulas so that you can break it down and decipher things. So you have to give me a bit more in terms of the meaning of 411. It's a bit broad. Go ahead.
Someone wants to know, what does 6 ether mean?
Okay, good question. So when I was just explaining that you've got different vibrations or different levels, when we say up and down, that's really to have a visual representation, but we're really talking about vibrations. So if you were counting, we will count like from, let's say 0 was the middle, we go to the right and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the highest number. So when you're going up in degrees or vibrations or frequencies, 6 will be 3 levels lower than 9. 9 can continue to the point where we say it's infinity, or we say 9 to the 9th power of 9. That's the most powerful. When you look at 6, if you drew a 6 and then you drew a 9, you can literally see that it's adverse to 9. And this is where you get the concept of the yin and the yang, because when you look at the yin and yang sign, if you can see my drawing, yeah, it's showing a 6 and a 9, meaning that they're kind of opposite to each other, because even within that yin yang symbol, you have a circle, you got that piece, and one's black and one is white, and then in the middle there's a dot. So it's showing you that you can expand outwards or you can go the other way. And 6 ether pulls down, it's the low vibration, and 6 ether is also something that was utilized as a force, a 6 ether force, which is where religions were born, dealing with the last 6,000 years. Because when you're looking at a full cycle of our world, is 24,000 years, but it's broken down into 6,000 years of a moon cycle, a sun cycle, a moon cycle, a sun cycle. That's collectively 24,000 years. And every 24,000 years, the new cycle starts from 25. So 25 would be like the one, starting again for the new 24,000 year cycles. So these changes that take place during a moon cycle is where the forces are pulling down, and religions and, you know, the amnesia and the spell of like 6 ether forces has been dominating. And this is why now, as of the year 2000, we just came out of the last 6,000 year moon cycle. And this is where we're now in the sun cycle, referred to as the Aquarian age, the sun cycle, they call it the silver for the moon, and the gold cycle. And one comes when that new cycle starts. They bring in that new cycle where, you know, they renew everything, our story, our truths, and go back to the original way of the sun cycle or the sun beings. And this is what's been spoken by many people that have been waiting for this new cycle. The one that brings this is called Parnabab Yanun, Melchizedek, Yanun, Michael. There are many titles, Tahuti, the Thoth. You see, there are many names that's describing this being, and in today, that's Dr. Malachi Z. York, the incarnation of Tahuti, known as Parnabab Yanun, who is a higher deity amongst the 9, the Council of 9. All right, go ahead, Simon.
You've still got loads of voice notes and everything, but
Well,
this is a donation.
I can't extend this, man. You guys have to come to class. Come to the event. We're gonna have a special class, you know, on the 14th of February, the Friendship Day. We're gonna actually have a special class where you can ask us all your questions. And if you can't make it because you're so far away in another country, we have an online ticket, right? With the code OSM, you get a discount. Yeah, so you can join that live stream from anywhere in the world on the 14th, and you'll be able to ask us all your questions as well. All right. So go ahead.
So after we'll do the voice notes, everything.
Yeah.
But this is a donation from D. Shelton.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get a chance to give them.
What is the name of our God? Should we use the name in our affirmation prayers? Is this also the name of the real creator of all?
Okay, like we said, yeah, the people are so obsessed with having a God. We, as in the ancient ones, we don't deal with like just one person, even though we do have people that are sitting in a seat at that particular time. They work together in the council. I could just give you a name, like, and you'll be like, okay, then now you want to know more details about that. And that name would be Ptah, okay? However, when you, the word God means so many different things, but people will say the Almighty, right? Or they would use attributes to try and describe this person. And what we're basically, even if you say Allah, that's like the source, Allah or Illah, right? So if you say the creator, it's confusing because like there are many creators. Your parents are your creator. So if you want to learn about who our ancestors are, this is who people are calling gods. And they're real beings and real people that walk the planet Earth, you know. So we have your parents, who would be your immediate kind of like family. Then your grandma, your great granddad and great great granddad, those are your family, or we say your ancestors, Salafu. But then we have, when you go all the way to the highest beings, you're saying the Natharu, and within them they have councils, like the Council of Nine. And then like the person that is in the seat today, right now, would be Pa-Nabab Yanun, right? So he's the one that's gonna guide you or direct you to that. But it's like if you want something, you have to go to your immediate family first in terms of your ancestors, and that's done through your mother, because your mother's lineage, or as we say, inheritance, yeah, in her heritage, in her heritage, right? So she is the one you link up to first because she holds the mitochondrial DNA, as all the females do. They're the ones that pass that from daughter to daughter to daughter to daughter. So that link has to be there first. It's like people want to bypass their ancestors or their immediate family. It's like if you wanted to speak to the prime minister or the president, you can't get to him just like that. You know, he will have MPs in your local jurisdiction that you go to first. And then depending on the seriousness of the situation, you would call on the higher forces. So you have to know who our ancestors are, not just your immediate ancestors, but going all the way back to, you know, like the first ones. And that's how we do the connection. So, but yeah, like I said, I could just say to you, Amun. I could say Ptah. I could say Atun. You know, there are many, many different beings. That's why they used to say what? Egyptian gods, the pharaohs, they call themselves gods. Because there are many, there are more than one. This is where they borrowed religion from. Read Revelation 3:14. Right? And let me see, I might even just try and see if I can get it, but we've got so many questions. Let me just pull up Revelations 3:14 quickly. Make sure I'm giving you the right quotes. Because the reason I'm telling you to do that, because especially for Christians, yeah? Let me see. Revelations 3:14. I've just gone on blueletterbible.org on the website. You can do this too. And it says, if you look at, it says, and unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning, hear this, the beginning of the creation of God. Read it yourself. So God had a beginning, yeah? He had a creation. So Amun, where you say the word Amen, right? This is of course in Greek. But if you go to the Strong's number and you look at the translation from the Greek into the English, where you see an angel is angelos, and where you see the word, you see Amen, when you study the languages, Amen, which is said at the end of every prayer in the Christian world, and in the Islamic world, that will be Ameen, right? With the E, and in Hebrew, Omein, that Amin, like when you look at the vowels, you can interchange them. So Amen is Amun. And that's what the word faithful means, the faithful one, from the root word Iman, yeah? So that Amun was there and he witnessed, right? He witnessed the beginning of the creation, right, of God. And because it's Greek, the word God is theos. So Amun is an Egyptian deity, and he was already there, and he witnessed the beginning of the creation of God, which is telling you they grafted theos, the Greek, from Amun, the Egyptian, because all the Greeks went to study under the great Tahuti in ancient Egypt. All the Greeks that you call philosophers and, you know, they all went to Egypt, and some of them stole the knowledge. So, like I said, like, you can now use these tools and they will tell you everything. How can Amun witness the beginning of the creation of your God, Theos? All right, let's go to the next one because I want to get through these questions.
This was a voice note, and then after I got a call back, Dre.
All right.
All of these things because we have to help.
I wanted to ask a question about homosexuality. You know, I asked in the chat why families have multiple people in the family like this. And I do have a lot of people in my family like this. And I asked because I'm always getting approached by, quote, bisexual women or bisexual men, but I only like straight men. And I was just wondering, like, am I carrying some type of spirit on me, or maybe like a family curse, the reason why I get approached by people like that, or because I have family members like that? I just want to know. And also, I guess too, I'm very nice to everybody. Like, I'm a people person, so I don't meet strangers, and I don't like judge people whether they're gay or homosexual, whatever. I try to just treat everybody the same. But that was what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, the question wasn't completely clear, but I do get it. So the question, when it comes to sexuality, because I remember we did a video, and there was I think it was the 3 verses 4, and there was somebody that considered himself homosexual. I think he was also a black guy, and he was also, I don't know if it was a vicar or what, you know, they use all these names like priest or vicar and all that. But he was, when I said it's your preference, he said, no, it's not a preference. And then we used the word orientation, which he was a bit more comfortable with. And, but to be honest, when you do research the words preference or orientation, there isn't that much difference between it, because orientation means I'm here and I go that way. So I've changed my orientation. However, we also have a video on YouTube called Garden. I'm going to find it because Guardians. I'm going to find it because that video. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let me just find it. Guardian. I think it's Guardians and the Gateways. Because this is so important to watch and listen to. I want to find it so I can give you the exact title. Because this whole topic of homosexuality is very complex, and I will explain why. Yeah, here you go. Right, if you were to search on YouTube, out formation class, yeah? So instead of information, use the word out formation class, gateways, you know, as in a gate, Gateways, and their guardians, right? So and then ANDTHEIR, guardians. That is an hour-long explanation and going into details of your question, because it is complex in the sense that when you're looking at a person, you have the physical being who is male or female based on the chromosomes, right? X and Y or XX. But they're composed of other levels of their being. So You can have like different gender types, where you can have a XYX or a YXY, and you can have a physical person that is female on the outside physically, but can have a male spirit, or you can have a man that's physically male on the outside, but have a female spirit. A lot of people don't understand or haven't been taught about this science, which leads to how people say, I feel like a woman. I've always felt like I'm a woman. I think I'm a woman, because the way they are on the inside is a female spiritually, or a female spirit. So some people will try to dress in a way to match how they think and feel they are. Some people will go as far as changing their sexual organs to become a female so they can feel and look like a female. And men do the same thing. You also have agendas on the planet by different extraterrestrial beings who affect people's hormones, like with various foods and various foods like homogenized milk, right? Because milk and certain dairy products do affect your hormones. People can take tablets and all kinds of things to affect their hormones. So there is an agenda by beings from Andromeda who are androgynous, and they like or promote that. Then you have people that are just oversexed, and they basically swing in any direction, male or female. Then you have heterosexuals who just prefer, the opposite sex. And there's so much mixture between all these different types of people. Plus you have the media and, like I said, these beings that are in the background controlling the narrative of what people do and see on the planet, what they wear and certain shows. So it's a very complex situation, and you have to be who you are. Like, people follow other people because it's something that they might be influenced by. So, like I said, your question was clear in the sense that you said you know who you are, but what type of energy are you exuding? And like, are you somebody that is vibrating on a particular frequency? So if we look at somebody like who people call Akhenaten, or Ankatun, he was a being that was had a double resonance or a double frequency. That's why, even though he was a man, the hormones and the way he looked, he had hips, he had like mammary glands or breast, and he had, like a little belly, and he looked, the hips were like a woman. Google it, you'll see. So these beings were beings that have the double resonance, and they were utilized to open gateways. That's why this title of this class is called Gateways and Their Guardians. All right, I hope that helps. Go ahead, Zaman. Greetings, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question today?
Rahubat, calling from the USA.
Rahubat.
South Carolina.
Rahubat. I recognize the voice.
Yeah. I was calling. I had 3 quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
To piggyback off of what you were saying, off of the Akhenaten.
Yeah.
Was he in contact with, I guess, Enlil or Enki? Because he was saying, I remember we did research, and he said that somebody was giving him orders or giving him information to switch it over to one God and to praise the sun, like Amun-Ra.
No, that wasn't Enki and Enlil. Enki and Enlil, that's dealing with, looking to see if we have a book called The Coming Forth by Day by the Master Teacher, which many people refer to as the Book of the Dead. He explains that in there. We also have, ancient Egypt and the pharaohs. No, that's Enlil, and that's Anunnaki. and this is something that we also try to clarify for people, is that when you're dealing with the Nataru and the Natharu, those were in Africa, whereas the Anunnaki, they were dealing with Mesopotamia or ancient Sumer or Shinar. So yeah, he was in contact. I don't have the scroll on me, but it wasn't Enlil and Enki. No, it's not upstairs. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
remember he was trying to unite Upper and Lower Egypt, because this is what happened where you started to have the different dynasties and different groups of people were like, I'm of the Amun priesthood, and then you had the Atun, and what he was doing was like trying to bring them back together into one. And this is where the monotheistic religions picked it up from, in the sense of the one God worship, which was really in ancient Egypt, like when you started to have the dynasties, that's what that created. So you started to have, I'm of this, I don't have that scroll with me, because even on the front of it's the kind of creamy looking hardcover one. It's called A Coming Forth by Day, yeah? The master shows you that even the different dynasties. So with us, we go, that's why the master was saying, when people like Dr. Ben were talking about ancient Egypt, he was explaining that what the people are trying to do now is recreate the situation we have in religion, where you have so many different denominations, and even though people will say we're Christians as one, but then you'll have Seventh-day Adventists, Catholics, Protestants, Jehovah's Witness, and the list just goes on and on and on. So he was like, what you're doing when you get to Egypt, even though you're thinking that, okay, I'm now conscious and I'm not dealing with Islam and Christianity and I'm going back to that route, when you get there, you're going to be confused, because they've ran ahead of you to create these different divisions of, I'm of the, this dynasty and that dynasty and that dynasty, and then it started to create the same divisions and confusions. That's why we go back and go pre-dynastic and go back to where we were one and dealing with the Pataites. But when you get to Egypt today, a lot of people get lost, because what you're calling Egyptians today are not the original Egyptians, right? Because they go back to Abraham. Because remember, Abraham had 3 wives, Hagar, Sarah, and Keturah. Well, Hagar was an Egyptian. So people tie into her, and the child that they had was Ishmael. So where you get problems between Ishmaelites and Israelites, yeah, so they don't realize that they're of the same family. It's just that obviously one ties into Hagar, and then the other one, the Hagar ties into the Ishmaelites by way of Kedar and Muhammad, or the real original Prophet Muhammad. So Uncle Nathan, that's where we started to get into this, the divisions of the different Upper and Lower Egypt, and they were starting to kind of fight each other and have different loyalty to, like I said, to Amun, to Atun. And so it was like, okay, let's just try and bring it back to one. And that's what he was trying to do. But he was one of the gate the people that were able to open the gates. Because when you look at the Dendera map, you will always see pairs of beings, and these were the ones that had a double resonance, and they were needed to be able to open the portals. To open the portals, absolutely, yeah.
The other question I was gonna ask was, Enlil a Hindu being also? Because I know you said Enki was a reptilian being, and then they were half brothers. They had the same father with different mothers, but Enlil was actually like eating us at one point. Him and his son, Nana, and they were asking for human sacrifices and stuff like that. So was he a Naga being, or what type of being was he?
He's a reptilian being. He was a reptilian being. But when you say reptilian beings as well, you have different species of reptilians. the draconians, and that's why we're saying that those are the beings that are asking for the blood sacrifices and the meat sacrifices in your Bible, but that's tying to Enlil, as you said, and those that followed Enlil, as you say, yes, Nana is his son, and till this day, that's what's happening, where you're having those beings that will say, eat meat, eat flesh, sprinkle, blood on the altar and all these kind of stuff, because these draconians were the ones that were eating the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians were like, can we cut a deal? Can we give you, if we give you something to eat that is just as nice and as delicious as us, will you leave us alone? Right. And they said yes. So that's where they went to graft the Adamites. Is that the time already? Wow. To graft the Adamites, so that the Adamites were bred for food. But the Natharu also had a plan. This is where you get that concept of you plan a plan, and Allah or God plans a plan, and who's the greatest of planners. Because the Natharu knew that there was too much chaos with these draconian beings, these reptilians that were eating people and eating other beings. So they were like, okay, let's give them a formula, because they didn't actually know how to create these Adamites without the formula. And they got that formula by way of Ptah. And you can read this in 18 plus 1, 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. And that goes into more details of what I'm talking about, because this was hidden. And the plan was that when these Pleiadians, these draconians eat the Pleiadians, or when the Pleiadians eat the Adamites, they will die off. And then, the draconians that continue to eat them, they will also die off, so that we can get rid of that chaos from these flesh eaters. So
right.
Yeah, the story is a lot deeper as well. But yeah, you're on the right path, definitely.
And then last thing I was going to ask about, we used to practice alchemy back in those ancient times, and still today we're still doing alchemy. Some of us are just not aware that it's a form of alchemy.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And these are the sciences that we're being taught. And like you say, alchemy was obviously dealing with base metals and so forth, but now it's also your mind and your mental. So you can, you hear people talk about intentions, like you can hold water, but that's not because some people may take it a bit far or don't know what they're doing and think that if you just hold water and even though your intentions or your energy can actually transform it with the tones and the vibrations that you utter, because we are able to, like our elemental beings, that's one of them, as who, because we're saying the creative force of will, or the personification of transforming things by just words. That's where you get the story of, Allah or God just says, let it be, or kun fayakun, and it is. These words come from our ancestors who are elemental beings, like, Hika, Sia, or would I say Saya, and these are those types of beings. They're able to, and the Natharu, they're able to literally through their mind and just saying certain tones can manifest things. This is where the stories go watered down into
beings.
Yeah. That's right.
Because I noticed last time you said that comment when you were answering somebody else's question, and I came to realize too that majority of the stuff that we see in movies or pretty much cartoons, like growing up in the 90s, is our story, but it's been whitewashed with like whiteface or a different complexion.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because they talk about it in like Marvel comics and X-Men and all that. They're showing all these people with powers and stuff, and that's based off of us.
Yeah.
But they don't look like us.
That's right. That's right. They just change the stories like everything else. But yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we got so many questions to get through. So again, I'm gonna have to cut you short. Is there anything else?
That'll be it.
Thanks. All right.
All right, thanks.
All right. Classy Lady K. I think it may be you that called up. But yeah, in terms of the family thing, that's why I was saying that it becomes genetic, because if it's in the let me just repeat the question. I wanted to ask something about homosexuality. Why families have multiple people in the family like this? I asked because bisexual women and bisexual men approach me, but I only like straight men. Yeah, so like we already explained, it could be genetic, because even in the womb, right? This is why it's so important that during the time where a female's carrying a baby, what she intakes, not just physically in terms of the food that she's ingesting, but it's also the stress. That stress can actually change change the baby. And so it's important, like, that's why I said we can't just generalize, because every situation is different. You can determine as a mother, determine the gender of the child, and that's during when you're growing that child, before the time where they can be like male or female, but you can actually affect the genetics or the DNA, and remember your genes. You can turn off genes and turn genes on to give you a certain outcome. And you can do that also by way of everything you take in, what you eat, what you see, what you experience. So, and then you have the physical aspect, which I mentioned as well, with the foods and things that people are eating and ingesting, as well as people that are just oversexed or very sexually active and promiscuous, and they just experiment and try all kinds of things. But I did say, watch that YouTube video called Gateways and their Guardians, Outformation Class. You get a crystal clear explanation of that. All right. Okay, let's move on.
Voice note?
The people in the chat are not going to be happy, All right, go on then. Let's get the voice. People in the chat are like, I've been asking my question, it's not getting to my answer.
Rahul Bats again. So these are a couple quick questions coming off of reading the scroll Shambhala and Nagata Seas Within the Earth. So first quick one is the 19th galaxy, Ilion. So how was it determined that Ilion is the 19th galaxy, and what would be the first galaxy and the second galaxy, for example? And then my second question, it says that the Anunnaki from Planet Risk came here to mine gold to repair their atmosphere. What is the update on that? So did their atmosphere get repaired? Did they mine enough gold, or is it still an ongoing process? Thank you.
That's some great questions. As far as galaxies are concerned, I know that it didn't give me a reference, but I know that I know what he's saying about. Oh, excuse me. Galaxies are classified. Galaxies are classified by their development, and when you look at, it's kind of like when you look at our solar system. I know that's just one galaxy, but when you look at our solar system, you have planets that are in a particular position. So, when you're counting from the sun, either outwards or inward, the different planets in specific positions. But how they got there and why are they there? Like, for example, planet Earth is number 3 when you're counting from the sun. So they got to that point by design, but they also when you look at how they were formed, they were originally one, and there was an explosion that took place, as I was saying, when they're trying to explain about how we came about. And they said a big bang. And when that explosion takes place, when things explode, things get thrown into a distance. And the further you go, and then the magnetic pull of the sun, because you're dealing with magnetism, you remain there, and then you literally stop there, and then you started to cool down, and then you started to orbit the sun based on the position that you're in. So if we took that to say, when you look at different galaxies, they are also explosions that came out of a bigger sun. Yeah, so I did a video on TikTok, I think it was, and it's quite a very long video. It's not long in terms of time, but a lot of information very quickly, explaining that what you're calling our galaxy came out of a sun, and that sun came out of another sun. These were referred to as Om, and then Sao. And then Sao is where you get the word, because there were two people that were over those planets before they exploded, right? Sal and Arena. So their two names became, they took S-O-L or S-A-L, and then Arena, they took the A-R, and it became solar. That's where you get the word solar from. So, yeah, depending on where you get, as far as when you're thrown out from the mass, which in this case will be the sun, you start to orbit there. And then our galaxy is the 18th. Because what I'm trying to find out, let me show you, how do the way galaxies are measured is based on their how do you guys know? They call it there's a particular phrase I'm looking for. Their ages. 1 second. So yeah, I just had it. It's just gone. They're classified based on their ages and how they've grown. And then as they grow or they evolve, they're labeled by the yeah, I did at that video I did, we'll go into more distance, but they're just classified based on their age and their growth, just like our suns. Like, there are different types of classifications where you would go, you'll have to study, I'm trying to find the right terms. You'll have to study the evolution of like suns. So give me one moment. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so you got, like, when you look at our solar system, right? Our sun, which is the closest sun to us, even though it's 93 million miles away, yeah, it does fluctuate a little bit because depending on how close our planet is to it or how far away it is. I can't remember the name, but like, they call different names based on their growth. So suns will grow, and then they will expand, and they'll get to a point where they will explode and then implode. And it's the same for when you're dealing with the galaxies, because when that sun explodes, it then forms the debris or the things that come out of it. They get caught up, and then they start to orbit the mass because they pulled. Can't find it. So you have like supernova. They're just different terms and names that they call them based on their development, and it's the same with galaxies. And then yeah, they're just labels. So the best example I'm giving you is like, why is our planet number 3? It's because it got caught up in that position. As it was spinning, it cooled down and then it started to rotate. So you have the project that was then done by the extraterrestrials is referred to as Project 24. And the planet is known as Sector 3, Zone 6. Sector 3 is 3 from the sun, and Zone 6 is, when you're counting from the other direction, is number 6. And then the project itself is called 24 because it grew 24 points, and it was only designed to grow 24 points. And then the cycle, as I was saying, of the Earth going around the sun is 24,000 years. The circumference of the planet is 24,000 miles. Everything relates to 24 hours in the day. Your genome is 24,000 genomes. Your the amount of cells you have is like 24 trillion. So everything is relating to 24 as Project 24. And these extraterrestrials, that's what they do. They have these, they design the galaxies, and these when they design them, it's based on keeping order in the universe itself and the galaxy. This is why you get all these movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, because these elders are the ones that are actually responsible. So the master teacher explains that Ilion is 19 from us. So when you go to the universe exploding and then forming these galaxies, and then these galaxies are obviously numbered the same way that in one solar system and the sun exploding and forming the planets that get caught up in the magnetic pull of that sun. Next week, I'm going to try and find the terms I was trying to find. I haven't found it today, but there's so many questions we've got to get through, so that will have to suffice for today.
I'll leave you the chat.
Okay, let's go back to the chat, because I know people in the chat are going to be like, he's not answering my questions. Wow. I don't know where to start. How would a gigabyte...
Oh, they're talking about something different.
Oh, okay. Do you have any that you think I should...
Yeah. Someone said on TikTok, so the Anunnaki have O rhesus negative blood?
Okay, when it comes to blood now, it's so mixed, like everyone's got different blood types, but they mainly have negative blood. Well, we can't say every single one has the same blood type, but you're dealing with the negative blood types and mainly Rh negative blood types. If you're dealing with those reptilians, oh yeah, something I forgot to mention on the other question when the person mentioned David Icke. Remember, David Icke was trying to expose the whole reptilian, and he did a lot of documentaries, and he was ridiculed when he was talking about the reptilians and how the royal bloodlines are reptilian and they keep everything within the bloodline. And you start to look at the evidence, like all the presidents are all related, so it ties into keeping the same bloodline. But most of these extraterrestrial bloodlines are negative and have Rh negative. Not to say that other people don't have them as well, because they've got children on the planet and these children have had children and there's a lot of mixture. But originally, before the reptilians and the extraterrestrials came here, they were positive blood types. Go on.
Someone said I have it, so am I Anunnaki bloodline?
Possibly. Remember, when we say Anunnaki, we break this down so many times. We're just talking about beings that came to Earth in groups of 50, because the crafts they came in could only hold 50 passengers. And Anu sent these beings to this planet. So you're saying Anunnaki. It doesn't say the specific beings, although his family, Enlil, Enki, Erishkigal, Ninurta, all of these people also came. So when you look at Enki, for example, he went to like different parts of the world. He was in South America. He terraformed, the planet. He was in the waters. he went to Africa and he had wives and had children. The bloodlines on the planet, this is why bloodline and blood is so important, because people will search for certain blood types. You know, even when they say that, they'll say Jesus, people didn't know that Jesus was married and he had children. But they tell you that in the movies, like the Da Vinci Code. But in that, they talk about the female. And the female, if the female's alive, that means there's a blood type on the planet. The Elohim that came down here, the Nephilims, they had children. So there are many different different extraterrestrials come here, they abduct people, and they insert, you know, they take out DNA and insert DNA and have, you know, children. So today, there are so many people walking the planet that have different blood types. And you have to find out and appeal to your blood types. We have the blood types of the Natharu. Some of us have the blood types of these other extraterrestrial beings. So different people have different blood types. So that's not going to be unusual. But what difference does it make? You are who you are. That's why we say you have to be who you are, not try to be anything other than who you are. For us who were adopted by European parents, can we also claim them as our parents along with our blood parents? The word parent is rent. That you're renting them. So whether it's your blood parents that you came through or not, you're only renting them for a time, and then you become an adult, and then you have to go and live your own life. So when you say, can we claim them as parents? Yeah, because you're renting them for the time that you're with them, but eventually you're going to grow up and go and live your own life. And it's the same with your blood parents. So yes, you can claim them as your parents because you're renting from them, or you're renting them. All right. But obviously you also go on to ask along with your blood parents. Yeah, but your blood parents are going to be your blood parents. All right, let's keep going. Okay, they may not have seen, just ask again. Okay. Rahobat Saken, I am Tumi from South Africa. I did ask a clarity on left-hand lines on the palms. What are they representing? Other question, why pastors wear a black, red and white circle on their neck? That ties into the Catholics. It's a collar, isn't it? It's like a dog on a leash, and basically you go through their seminaries or you study theology, and they teach you what they want to teach you, and then you go out into the world, and but you have to answer back to them, because you know when they teach you theology, they teach it in a particular way, so you become like, for lack of a better word, their dog, because you're really got a collar and you're doing their work for them. Some may not know the deeper meanings or the significance of it, but yeah, that's what it's relating to. What's the first part? The lines on your palms. That's genetics. I know, like, you get palm readers and people that try to say this means this and that means that. A lot of that is sorcery and not really factual. They'll tell you that if you have an M on your hand, it means you're going to get money. But that doesn't make sense, because, you know, I mean, like, that's English. What if you don't speak or you're not from English? So, but they're really dealing with the genetics and like the mixture of what you've been mixed with. So you'll see different traits in people based on the genetics that they're mixed with. I want to go through these quick because there's so many. I don't read that. That sounds a bit rude. Bloody God for each continent. Ha ha. Thank you. That is a piece of the code of the universe. Okay, I get what you are saying, but I don't give these people any signals that I am this way, even after telling them this is relating to the homosexual question. They still pursue. But think about it. If you're female and a female is attracted to a female and you happen to be an attractive female, they're going to try and approach you. And you may be giving off a particular type of energy. Remember what I said before, like there are people who they don't recognize it sometimes. Like you can watch someone, if they're male, they may not even be homosexual or gay or anything, but they will act and behave that way. You know, the way they stand, you know, they might do certain mannerisms, and that may be genetic, or it could be the fact that they have a female spirit. So just because you have a female spirit doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be a lesbian or part of the LGBT community. But you know, that's the DNA, that's the genetics. So yeah, you're saying you're attracting them, and if you're attractive, males and females can find somebody attractive, so they're gonna try and find out if you swing that way, and if you don't, then they'll move on to someone else. And it depends on the area you're in as well. If you're in an area that is predominantly see, there's another thing. That's why I recommend you to watch that video, because there's homo and there's hormone, meaning dealing with your hormones. So it's like, yeah, it's quite a complex subject. But I would say if you're heterosexual and you like men, as you say, and they still pursue you, then I guess you just have to let them know that you're not interested. It has been solved. Okay. Is this a new donation? Yeah. From D. Shelton?
No, that's from before. I got a question.
But there's a question on there.
Oh, yeah, you answered it.
Did I answer it?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
From TikTok.
Yeah.
Someone said, do you guys have women in your group? And if one wanted to join, what do they do?
If, what, the last part? If one woman wanted to join?
Yeah. Do you guys have women in your group? And if one wanted
yeah,
to
we
join,
definitely do.
What do they do?
We have all kinds of people in our, we said we're group in our culture. Yeah, we do have women, and some of them have done videos on OSM. You can check those videos out. But yeah, we do. And the joining part, like anything else, we encourage you to study, read, research, come closer, like go to your nearest branch, stores, community, learn more. And you know, the more you learn, the more you're going to know what we're really about, and then you can decide for yourself if it's something you want to, you know, get more involved with. Yeah, that's the first thing. Because it's funny, as I was saying, somebody was asking the exact same question today, and I have to clarify this. Wu-Sabat, wu-nuwapu, it's our culture, our way. So we do things based on our culture. We have our own language, our own dress, our own dance, our own foods, our own scriptures, our own commandments. And anyone can embrace it. But we're not like, if you want to be a Muslim, if you want to be a Christian, if you want to be a Jew, if you want to be anything else and you're happy with that, we do you. Like, but if you want to do us, then this is what our culture is about. And we don't need to debate. We don't need to prove anything to anyone. We don't need to argue. It's our way of life. It's the best way of life, we say, but you will only know that for yourself if you partake. So yeah, we don't stop anyone that wants to be a part of Wu-Sabat.
Where can I purchase the uniform and head attire from? Do you guys ship?
Yes, we do. But the thing is, yeah, this is kind of related to what I just said. Like, a lot of people see our clothes and they say, wow, I want them. I like, people just pass in and that. But the thing is, like, if you're wearing it, what are you representing if you don't know the culture? Like, you look good, but then people are going to start asking you questions. Like, it's like if I just wore a police uniform It's like I'm saying to people that are looking at my uniform, I'm a policeman. But am I a policeman just because I'm wearing a uniform? Or am I an imposter? So we're saying get to know the culture, get to know why. But yeah, we do. Any brother, sisters that you see wearing our cultural attire are people that have come in, got to know it and say, yeah, I want to be a part of this culture, and they know what to do to get their cultural attire. Go ahead.
What do women wear once I learn the culture?
Okay, do you not have a picture of the sister that was doing the reading on YouTube? They wear clothes. I'm joking. Like they have different attires. Okay, the easiest image I can give you on our flyer for the Friendship Day. There are some women wearing their attire, but they have different types of attire. Like they have the scarf, we'll send you and show you some pictures. But like if you actually Google Nuwapians, you see, I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. There's a few sisters. Can you see that properly? I thought you had this flyer. You could probably share that. But yeah, there you go. They wear, with women, obviously, and men, we have different colors, we're very creative. So yeah, they wear, I'm going to see if I can find that video. If you go on OSM Vision, one of the best examples, let me see if I can find it, of one of our sisters. She's representing, there are many, but I'm just trying to find this particular one. I don't even know what I'm going to look for. It was the one, I know the one. It was said all men should read this or something like that. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That's the one I'm trying to find. Don't worry, we're gonna take our time and find it for you. And if I put all men.
Oh, every woman.
Every woman. You found it, yeah?
Yeah. I can't show them on.
Okay. Can you send it to me? Yes. OSM Vision, every woman.
Or should I send it on?
Any Telegram, WhatsApp, anything. Tell me which one though.
Telegram.
Okay, cool. Have you sent it?
No. Telegram.
I thought you move so fast sometimes. I thought you, every woman. I might even find it before you. Okay, I've got it. Right. There you go. Can I zoom my phone to you? Shall I play it?
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, there you go. Let me see if.
You're going to have to hold it up though.
And I'll see if I can. There you go. There you go. Right. Oh, I should have left it. Can you see it? Is it playing?
Yeah.
Okay, pressing it. Can you see that?
Stay there.
So which one?
That's cool.
Yeah?
I'll bring it closer for them.
Yeah, there you go. Sure. There are many different attires that they have, but that's one of our sisters, and she's wearing our cultural attire. But as you saw on the flyer, we have others. Yeah, you could also Google, Nuwapian Sway dance. Yeah, I'll see if I can find that one too. And that will show you. But yeah, you're not going to know all of these things from a distance. Like, get close, come to meet the sisters. In fact, you can meet some of them in our event that's coming up. But the women, they wear various attires. But yeah, I think we're spending a lot of time on that question. Is there another one, or should we move on?
You can move on. Or I can read another one.
Okay. I've got Yest West 2038. Hello, Sir Ken. Hello. You teach that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding makes a person 360 degrees complete. In a world full of 180-degree people, how does one interact with the masses without losing themselves? All right, let me correct that. We don't teach that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding makes a person 360 degrees complete. We say that 360 degrees represent completeness. However, you already made up of 180 degrees, what we would call agreeable, and another 180 degrees disagreeable. The total gives you 360 degrees. This is why you have to have balance. We all have what people term them good and bad, but they're not really good and bad. you know what, we've already run out of time. I can't even go into too much detail. So what you're trying to do is master this physical world. That's why you have to study, but it's also about you conquering the other side. So if you're predominantly disagreeable, then by conquering or subduing your disagreeable nature, it means that you're now operating as if you're fully 360 degrees agreeable, right? And when you say, how does one interact with the masses without losing themselves? Well, the whole purpose of you being a balanced being is that you know how to deal with anyone from all walks of life. And when you say masses without losing themselves, you won't lose yourself if you're grounded and sound in terms of like you're not leaning to one side or the other, and you're not judgmental. You're balanced being. That's what Nuwapu teaches us. Yeah. So I hope that helps you. You don't lose yourself when you're balanced and know how to deal with anybody in any situation. So right.
Last question.
Yeah.
This is the last one. Can you tell us about what's happening on February the 14th? Okay. And to come to your event, would I need to wear something specific?
No, just dress to impress. Like if you were going out somewhere nice, or you're taking your lady or your man out somewhere nice, not like, I don't want to insult anyone, but like nice clothes, nice, whatever you want to wear that makes you feel comfortable, but you're going out to look good and, express yourself. So there's no, like, you can't come in with jeans. Like when you go to a club, you can't come in with jeans and trainers. You got to have nice shoes. It's a nice environment. You want to do your best. So what was the second part?
Did I need to wear anything specific? And tell us about what's happening.
No, and what's happening is going to be a fun-filled day where you're going to experience our culture. You're going to meet and greet us, have real-life conversations. There's going to be food, vegan food, as well as food for other people who are still transitioning, and entertainment, live music. We're going to have many books there for you to take away if you'd like to take some away. We're going to have healthy products, comedians, and then we're going to give you the special class that the triad's going to give. 3 brothers, you've been watching our 3 verses 4. We're going to have live streaming of all the entertainment. There's just so much, I can't even remember all of it, but it's going to be a family event in terms of, okay, so you watch our Valentine's Day video. So it's on February the 14th, which is a counteraction to the Valentine's Day, because if you know about that, it's a pagan holiday ritual, and it stems from someone doing something very horrible, like cutting out people's hearts and sending them to their lovers. I'm just giving you a snippet. Go and watch the video we did last year on Valentine's Day. This is a more positive, it is a positive day where we counteract all that type of negative energy, where it's about love, as in divine love, divine love, unconditional love. If you want to come along, we're going to go into more detail about how we celebrate our Friendship Day. That's why you need to come. Come and mingle, just come and actually experience Wu-Sabat in real life, if you can. Of course, we've also catered to those who can't, who are abroad, or they can't make it for whatever reason. This is why we have the live stream tickets, which I think we've got an extension of the first 15 people already gone who got their online tickets, got a book, a scroll, but we've extended it to another 15. So, and then you have the OSM code as well, so you can get a discount on your ticket. Another thing is we meet so many people online that we've never met physically, and we've been going for a good 2 years strong. And it'll be nice to meet some of you people that are in the UK. So, come along and yeah, let's meet and greet. All right, so that's it today. Look, everyone who has donated, we want to show you our appreciation or love you, and everyone who's supporting us, supporting the channel. Without you, we won't be able to do this. So keep doing that. Subscribe, like, share, comment on all our videos. And if you didn't get your question answered today, all I can say is nadum, which means sorry in our language. But join our Telegram group. I don't think you've posted it today. We're going to post a Telegram group. You can join the Telegram group and ask your question there, and we will definitely answer it. Other than that, we have class on Saturday, 7 p.m. UK time, GMT, to 9:30. You can ask your questions there to the student teachers. And failing that, see you next week. Same time, same place on OSM Vision, because our souls matter